Hello, welcome to this lesson 5 of reading Tibetan. I'm Adelaide Foster. I've studied Tibetan extensively in India, where I've lived amongst Tibetans for more than 13 years. Where I studied in the traditional cursus of the Geshe degree. So I studied traditional philosophy and Buddhist epistemology. Okay, so here is the new lesson with new letters for today. We've got 6 new letters today. So we've seen so far the first 2 lines presented here. Don't be afraid. The first 2 lines are letters you know already. So the first line is ga, da, ba, ya, na. The last one here in this line is very nasal. You have to try to be able to say it. Na. Sounds like when you say bing, at the end you have ng. That's it. Ng. And then you add this a vowel. Na. You have it. And then the second line is ka, ta, ba, sha, na, la. So these lines we saw, and then the new line today starts with a high tone and a short non-aspirated letter. It's cha, cha. And the letter next to it looks similar. It's because it shares a consonant ch sound. But this time, instead of being non-aspirated, it's aspirated. So it's longer. It becomes cha. The first one was cha. Second one is cha. And the third letter shares also the same-ish consonant sound, ch sound. But this one is low and aspirated. And it becomes cha, cha. So we've got cha, cha, cha. And then the next letter here is a letter you should all know, because it's a letter that composes the word for which is the start of most mantras. It's a letter a. And what they say about this letter is all the other letters in the alphabet have this vowel a sound included, and the a actually represents emptiness. And because everything has emptiness, all the letters also have this a sound in them. So the Tibetan alphabet was created for the purpose to translate Buddhism from Sanskrit, Pali, and other Indian languages into Tibetan. So they had to have an alphabet and a proper system to write these down, all the sutras and commentaries. And they sent these young men, and one of them made it to India and came back to Tibet alive. We don't really know what happened to the other 4, but he came back with the alphabet, and he decided that was going to be the meaning of a. And there is a sutra, which is called the sutra. The title of the sutra is longer than the sutra. The title is the sutra in 1 letter. In Tibetan is Yike Chingme Do. And this sutra is only this letter, a. So you have it, a. Pretty easy. Next one next to it is kind of the same sound, except it's aspirated. Ha. Right? Yeah. A, ha. Hear the difference? And then the last letter is low in tone and non-aspirated. So it's sha. I read the whole line again. Cha, 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 a, ha, sha. You can find them all in that wheel, the wheel of tones. On the right, I would ask you to try to figure out where each letter would be. So the first line is easy. You have them written in the wheel. But the second line adds the yatas we've seen last lesson. Do you remember what they sounded like? You can pause, think about it. The answer is they're exactly the same as the letter just above them. So the first one, payata, is cha. So it's exactly the same cha as the one just above. So it's high in tones and not aspirated. And then the second one, cha, is the same as the one directly above it. So it's high and aspirated. And the last one, payata, is cha, and it's aspirated and low. So we've got a few new words here. You should be able to read them, to spell them as well. So the first one is verb, to study. It's jang, jang. Think about why it's in red here and not in blue. The second word is very commonly used. It means stuff, things. And it's pronounced chala, chala. Last one is not the umbrella, it's the rain. The rain is charpa. If you stay a long time in Dharamsala, in northern India, you'll know the word very well during monsoon. Charpa doesn't cease. So we've got three words: chang, chala, charpa. So far. So that's a reading exercise slide. Sorry. So you've got to try to read every word. You can pause the video. I read each line as usual. The first line starts with cho cho, ch, 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 p, y. So you've noticed the first four words sound extremely similar. The sound cho cho, yeah, cho cho is two syllables, that's fine. But after you've got ch and ch and ch, so you've got at least two sounds exactly the same. So these one here are the same. They pronounce the same. It won't mean the same thing, but the pronunciation is the same. A slight difference with this one. Ch. By the way, this one means Dharma, if you're interested in Dharma, Buddhist doctrine, or doctrine, religious doctrine in general. And that's one of the meaning of the word. It's very common to hear and see it. Okay, so second line now. You can pause and try to read it. And I read it now. Pu, tu, nu ba, pen, tunda. And the third line. Do, ge, dun. Okay. I hope that was feasible. It should be. I mean, you should be able to read most of Tibetan by now, I think. So we have three new words here. The first one, that's a map of Tibet. the map of Tibet according to the Tibetan government in exile. So that would be a map of Tibet before 1950. Tibet in Tibetan is Pe. The word Tibet, I think, came from sort of Kurdish or Mongolian sources, and that's where the British named Tibet Tibet. But in Tibetan it's Pe. Then we've got the second word is Kecha, and that's conversation. Conversation is composed of two syllables here. Remember I said 90% of Tibetan words are made out of two syllables, and you can recombine these syllables to make new words from other words and so on. It's like a bit of a Lego kind of game. So here you have ke, where the first syllable ke is anything having to do with language, and cha means anything having to do with parts. So a part of language is a dialogue or conversation. Kecha, yeah, more conversation than a dialogue. And then the third word here, we have a combination of these two first words. We have Pe, Tibet, and Ke, language. So Tibet language is Tibetan language. Pretty neat, isn't it? We've got 3 new words here. Same thing, kind of Lego game applies. Notice the first syllables of every one of these words is the same. Lop. They all start with lop, lop, lop. They're all in yellow, right? So lop is to learn or to teach, something having to do with studies. So the first one we have lop, and then we have zhong. Zhong is study. So lop zhong, studies. Yeah, lop zhong, studies. Then we have in second place lop dep. So dep was book. Lop dep is like a textbook, a study book. And lop chuk, I think we saw that word before. Chuk is actually the word, literary form of the word for a child. So lop chuk is a child of study. Can be 99 years old and still be a child of study in Tibetan. So now we have a dialogue. So we've got two people. They greet each other. So we've seen at the same beginning as the last lesson, it's dialogue. So we have Tashidele, to which Tashidele is answered, right? I won't explain it, what that means, because I've said it in the past lesson. I mean, the history of it, pretty interesting, but yeah. So that's a traditional normal greeting. And then the first person asked points a finger at a book and says, what's that? So what's that in Tibetan is te kare re. Te kare re. Te kare re. What is that? Literally, that, what is? Te kare re. To which the answer is given. This book is more or less, that's what it looks like. It's a bit different in the Tibetan version, right? Ti lobdepre. Ti lobdepre. So here we don't just have tep, right, which was book. We have lobdep, which is a textbook. So ti lobdepre, it's a textbook. This is a textbook. So always notice the auxiliary at the end of the sentence. So let's see some examples of these in action. 가르치기를, 가르 is what, 치 is the verb to do, 기유 is the present tense, asking a direct question to someone who is going to answer with you. So this anticipation rule is actually good when you have to answer something, because you don't need to think about which auxiliary you're going to use, because the one asking the question is giving it for you. Recycling in Tibetan is extremely good. Makes things life much easier. Just don't think about the auxiliary. Use the same one you heard in the question. The answer here is ta shengye. Ta shengye. Ta being horse. Notice the Tibetan horses, quite small. Shun is to ride. Kye present tense, so I'm riding a horse, without the need of pronoun again. Because it's a direct question between two people, it's too obvious to even consider using your breath on it. Same question for the next picture. Kare chegye. Lobdep changye. Lobdep changye. Lobdep was a study book, no textbook, study book. It's not very clear. Chang is to study. Kye as a present. So I'm studying a textbook. Last question. Kare chegye. Again, kare chegye. What are you doing? Kecha shegye. Kecha shegye. Kecha was conversation, part of language. She is to speak. And kye is, again, the present. I'm speaking. I'm having a conversation. Again, the same question with doors. So the first one is closing the door. Kare chegye. What are you doing? Go kyapgye. Go is the door. Kyap is a verbalizer. It means that it can be many. It can have many meanings. It's like get in English. So when you use it for windows and doors, it means to close. So go kyapgye. I'm closing the door. And if you want to open the door, you have the second picture. Kare chegye. What are you doing? Go chegye. So here you have, go chegye. Che is just for opening, so it's not like kyap. It doesn't have many meaning. Go che. So go chegye. Notice I say ki, and here it's written ni. That's because of grammar rules. You're not supposed to write ki or ki after a word without a suffix. So you've got 5 of these, if you look on the right, that can be used as a present marker or as a future marker between the verb and the auxiliary. And you can find them in different forms, like these 5s, but they all are the same. And in spoken Tibetan, they are all pronounced ki, usually ki, kare chigir, kare kyabgir, ki. It's more like ki is the second one. So you've got ki, yi, and yi. They're all in spoken Tibetan, usually, except I think maybe from some Amdo in northeast Tibet, but usually everybody says ki. So your turn. Pause the video if you need to. Try to read them all. Notice the similarities between the yatas, the ratas that are available. So I will read each line in turn. Okay, so first line. A, ha, a. Ga, ka, ka. Cha, cha. Sorry, I don't know how to do that. The third line is, I'm going to say each combination. So I'm going to say the 6 of them. Cha, 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 cha. Fourth line, ta, ta, ta. Fifth line, pa, pa, pa. Last line, cha, 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 cha. So they're exactly the same sounds, right? Okay, your turn again. Do you remember the dialogue we just read through? You should be able to say it. So imagine I'm greeting you. Hey, Geshe Adelaide. What do you answer? Yeah, that's right. I hope you all answered Geshe Adelaide. So, pointing at a book and wondering about it, that must mean, what is that? How do you say that? What is that? Te karere. Te karere. And this is a textbook. That was what was said, right? This is a textbook. It is Ti lobdebre. Ti lobdebre. And what are you studying? Kare changi yu. Remember, recycle the auxiliary for the answer. Pöke changi yu. Pöke changi yu. Pöke was Tibetan language, right? So, if you're interested, I recommend this book of Tibetan calligraphy by Sangi Elliott. And here is the examples written in that book on how to write each of the letters we've seen today. And I hope you have a great day ahead of you or before you, and hope to see you next time for the last lesson of learning how to read Tibetan. Like and subscribe. See you next time.